Aaron McDonald was my guest on today's video, a real technology veteran with experience managing portfolios with over $1 billion in revenue. His full bio will be in the description of this video. If you are an XRP holder, well, I want to tell you this is a must-watch video. You will discover Aaron's project, which is called Futureverse. They're building the infrastructure operating system of the open metaverse. XRP Utility runs throughout this Layer 1 root network. Primarily, it is going to be used for a gas token that will power the transactions, but also XRP will be the default token for node operator rewards. And this not only improves XRP liquidity, there is a deep integration to bridge XRP to the Ethereum virtual machine. That allows for smart contracts. With the root token, you'll be able to farm XRP. And for sure, the XRP ledger is going to be used for payments. It's linked directly to MasterCard without having to go through an exchange. This is a first. This is the kind of project every XRP holder should be supporting. Yes, utility matters. This is Web3's leading vertical integrated company today. Currently, 11 different businesses have been rolled up to create this Futureverse, a Layer 1 blockchain that provides the tools for games and assets with payments for world-class intellectual property and partnerships. Partnerships like MasterCard, Spotify, and FIFA. They have over 300 people working on this project in 16 countries. Do enjoy. Hey, everybody. It's Eddie from Tokyo, and I have a very special guest with me. This is Aaron McDonald. He is the founder of Futureverse. I have been so looking forward to this interview. We don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to hit it quickly, and we're going to hit the ground running here. I do, though, want to be sure that for people who are not familiar with the Futureverse, because I think that a lot of people are hearing this for the first time, we want to tell them briefly what this is all about, what the ecosystem is. A big part of the ecosystem are NFTs. You've got a lot of these unique worlds within the umbrella of the Futureverse. And I think a lot of questions people have is, are these worlds going to be interoperable? And can the users carry their identities with them throughout these different games? So yeah, that's how we should start. Go ahead, Aaron. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, well, I'm joining you from Auckland, New Zealand today, and I'm really stoked to be having this conversation. I think maybe the first of many, and we maybe today kind of get through a bit of quick fire and then delve into some topics later. But what is the Futureverse? The Futureverse, I think, is probably Web3's leading vertically integrated metaverse company now. We put together 11 different businesses to create the Futureverse, with capability from base protocols and infrastructure right up to applications and content and IP. And we cover the bases from blockchain through to tools to enable creators to build games and assets, through to communications and payments protocols, through to world-class IP and partnerships with some of the world's largest brands to activate those technologies through. I think now over 300 people in 16 countries around the world working together to build what we think is the infrastructure or operating system of the open metaverse.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so you did mention this 11 company. I think this is part of your roll-up, right? You did a big M&A, like a very complex, big-time M&A transaction. I want to know a little bit more about this big roll-up.
Yeah, I mean, if you're out there and contemplating doing something like this, please don't. It's extremely taxing. I've got a few more gray hairs in my beard now than I did a year and a bit ago when we started this process. But I've, had a background in venture building and created a portfolio of companies over the last 7 years since I've been in Web3 that we're trying to solve different problems around user experience and adoption for Web3. And when we've kind of solved a bunch of those problems, we started to look at how do you bring users in to use the technology, and content became the focus to do that. And so we started building out content-driven businesses to connect to those tools and bring them together. And at a certain point, when you have built the bits, you can move faster if you bring them together. And so what we did is, take a bunch of those companies that we had built through our venture building process, and then bring in some other companies that we had interesting IP or capability, add them to the mix, and then create this, vertically integrated metaverse company. And now I think it's the largest Web3, NFT holding community out there. It's, it's got, I think, more than 25,000 unique holders of assets in our ecosystem now. And so really strong, passionate community that loves the content and products we've been creating. And this year is all about showcasing that content and exciting experiences, both our own and through our brand partners.
Will there be a public list of those entities that you acquired?
Yeah, I mean, if you're a sleuth, you can probably go through and look at the company's office records, and you'll see the entities on the cap table. But at some point, we'll do a formal press release, and it'll contain all the information about who they are. And it's an ongoing process. We're in the process now of diligence on a few other businesses that are bringing either IP or capability to the table. And it's part of our strategy is to collect as many friends as possible and bring them into the tent to make this thing successful.
Yeah, wonderful. All right. So for many, I think the root network is what a lot of people are interested in.
Yeah.
It's got some unique features and benefits. And I think there's going to be reasons why builders want to come on to building on the root network. Just some of those questions that are coming up is talking about the validators. Can anybody run a validator, and who is currently running those nodes, and which assets are currently in the ecosystem? You've got an amazing donuts patent, which I know we probably don't have time today to go into, but I was reading on that, and that is pretty impressive. You're really merging, like so many Web3 metaverse projects are trying to do, but I really think you're getting close to merging this finance and gaming together. Yeah. And then I'm also noticing a lot of people who have been in your ecosystem longer than I have are very interested in when the root token is going to take place, because I think, this is maybe a good time to talk about. So sorry, I know there's a multi-folded question, but tell us about the network.
Yeah, so when we looked at all those years ago at what it would take to win the unwinnables, or the people out there that have been curious but not been brave and getting into Web3, we did something I think quite different to many of the players that were building and researching. We started by mapping out the user experience, and we said, if we want to bring people into this world and to give them ownership within the open metaverse, and ownership of their assets, and the ability to be, in control of their own destiny inside of this new version of the internet, we had to make that simple and frictionless. And so we started from the design aspect of user experience, and then said, okay, if this is the ideal user experience, where are the problems in that user experience? When a user comes typically into Web3, there's a myriad of hoops they have to jump through to understand how things work before they can start using it. And that has really constrained adoption. If you think about some of the top line stats, there are maybe just under 5% of the world's population who are crypto holders. And so, these are people who are already more than curious. They're investing money in this stuff. So 350 million holders out there, or people who've held an asset. Less than 5% of those are actively interacting with applications in the space. And so out of an early adopter set, you've got this like massive drop off in people who are kind of interacting directly with applications. And so, and especially in this kind of NFT space, you know, something like 200,000 regular users on OpenSea out of 20 million unique visits a month. And so this kind of adoption thing is a really big issue for Web3. And when we looked at that, a number of the problems for onboarding users were at the network layer, you know, either issues around onboarding wallets or safety issues once you've got a wallet, all of these kinds of things that stop users from either onboarding or make it hard for them to interact with applications, learning about gas, all of this kind of stuff. And we thought that, you know, making people learn about those things was akin to having to go through an online course to learn about AWS when you wanted to use Netflix. It's kind of ridiculous. And so when we designed this user experience, we said, where are the places we can take those things out? Turns out a lot of those problems can be solved at the network layer. And so when we designed the root network, we designed it with this in mind, and we built a bunch of custom runtimes and services that help take away some of those problems, and so that we can get users onboarded without them even knowing, really, because that's the ideal scenario. One of the brand values of the Futureverse is to make technology invisible. And so if we can do that, it can feel like magic. They can do all these new things, and then we can teach them, you know, step by step about what being your own bank is, or, you know, what ownership of your identity means, and kind of take them on that journey instead of shoving it in their face. And that's what the root network's all about. And the root token is the kind of governance and staking token within the root network. And so that's what allows our community to be participants in running that infrastructure. The other tokens in the ecosystem, and probably a big reason of why we're on here today, is one of those problems we looked at was liquidity. You know, if you're establishing a new network, being able to source liquidity and provide liquidity for transactions in the network is a really big user experience thing. Liquidity, it turns out, is one of the biggest user experience hurdles in Web3. And so instead of trying to solve that ourselves, we partnered up with the XRPL and have integrated XRP into the network. So the network uses a really interesting system for paying gas, which both solves the user experience issue for new users, but also the liquidity issue. And in doing that, we're able to bring new users in a frictionless way, but also provide people like block producers with true value out of the gate. And so how that works is we designed inside the network runtime a thing called a multi-token gas fee exchange. And it means that if you're an application developer and you onboard your user into your game or your application, and you have your own unique token, the user only needs to know about that. In the same way, when they onboard into World of Warcraft, they just have to know about World of Warcraft Gold. They don't have to go and find the gas behind World of Warcraft Gold and buy some of that to make a transaction. They just have to know about your thing. And so the users can pay with that, and this gas fee exchange will automatically swap that in the background for XRP to pay the network gas, and the block rewarders will receive those tokens as a reward. And so we get to solve liquidity because XRP has great liquidity. Block producers get real rewards that are valuable from day one, and users don't have to think about the gas in the network.
Will it be swapped on the XRPL DEX? Is that how it's swapping?
Yeah, so we have, there are two kinds of DEX functions in the network. The one that's active now is a native runtime, which does that initial swap. And then we have an AMM. And in our design, the AMM is linked to the XRP upcoming AMM. So we're waiting for that to drop, and so that we can source liquidity from XRPL's AMM and put that into our root network AMM.
Oh, that's great. People are going to love to
Yeah.
hear that. Yeah, at this point, well, I don't want to, I want to jump to talking more about XRP, but in terms of a validator, can I run a node?
Yeah, so the process for and just a little bit more on the technical side. I'm sorry for those of
That's
you
okay.
who are out there that aren't so technical. The network itself is a substrate-based network, and then we've written custom runtimes on top of that, and we've done quite a deep integration to XRPL, as well as enabling EVM compatibility and bridging through to Ethereum. So we're able to kind of bring quite a few communities together in this. We've implemented the XLS 20 NFT standard in the network.
I saw that.
And
Fantastic.
so, yeah, so we've got this kind of quite different, tight integration with XRPL and its standards. And because it's substrate based, it's a proof of stake network. Root token is the staking token. And anyone can run a validator is the network architecture model. The phases we're rolling that out in is phase one has been our internal teams plus our ecosystem partners. Phase two is going to be a public limited beta. So we'll public about to submit their application. We'll approve them to come in and run those nodes. And phase three will be full public. Anyone can run a node, and you go out there and kind of build your community around your node, and it uses the same underlying node selection and validation processes as Substrate does, which is powering the Polkadot network.
Aha.
Yeah.
Right. So I imagine that getting to that third phase, there'll be just thousands and thousands of nodes.
Yeah. We think there's already a queue probably of 1 to 200 people wanting to operate nodes in the network, and we're going to move through those phases relatively quickly. It's not a technical constraint. We could do it tomorrow if we wanted to. It's more of us being cautious about the user experience as we roll that out. A lot of the people we're bringing on through our brand partners is first time interacting with Web3. We want that to be a really safe experience for them and for these global brands.
Smart. And the gas token paying the transactions in XRP is going to be really cheap for people. So that's another big benefit.
That was one of the reasons that we looked at that from a partnership point of view. It's no point sourcing liquidity if it's expensive. And so being able to get the balance of really great liquidity, broad adoption across the crypto ecosystem, and a new community that we can offer something new to. If we went and built, just another layer 2 to Ethereum or something like that, you're kind of fighting in the red ocean a little bit. The XRP community is this kind of really powerful, large community out there that hasn't been able to do as many things because the ledger itself has been still building out those features. Now we can bring all the power of our open metaverse operating system and smart contracts and our identity system and all of the stuff to those communities so they can start to benefit, and the utility of XRP becomes bigger because they can start to use that inside of these applications and contracts now.
Right. You're spot on, because this is a community that is very utility minded. And I think that XRP is the default payout asset for the validator rewards. So
mechanism is essentially transaction fees generate a pool of rewards, and a pool of rewards is then which is in XRP, is then distributed through the validator consensus mechanism. And in addition to that, we will add in more rewards with the root token, so you'll kind of earn double rewards. And in a sense, if you stake root tokens, you can receive XRP. So it's kind of like farming XRP with root.
Right.
And then if you're, a savvy validator, you might want to create some of these token pools from, say, the ASTO, which is our ASM Alter State Machine AI protocol, to XRP. And then so when people are paying gas in their ASTO tokens, you're earning, those tokens. And so you can start to build up a basket of tokens in the ecosystem.
Yeah, this is really attractive. Yeah, the staking in the liquidity pools, is it more like a delegation, or is it more like, how does that work?
Yeah, so the network supports delegated proof of stake. So you can either run your own node and stake your own assets, or you can
bring in
others can stake
people
to your nodes.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Do you see bridging to the XRP ledger for payments?
Yeah, for sure. Payments is a big part of the Futureverse infrastructure and vision. We actually have a business inside of the Futureverse called Immersive.
Yeah, that's what the MasterCard deal you did.
Yeah, so Immersive is a global MasterCard partner, and what that means is they can essentially take any MasterCard service or product and start to offer it directly to their customers or as a white label service to other businesses in the Web3 ecosystem. Part of the magic of Immersive is it's the first time that you've been able to link a decentralized payment system directly to the MasterCard without going through an exchange. And so it brings us one step closer to that decentralized finance, because now wherever MasterCards are accepted, you can pay in the currency you have in your wallet. And so we'll be deploying an Immersive instance on the Root network. If you have XRP, you can bridge that across. It'll do the automated swap within the AMM, and you can pay via your MasterCard.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that really makes me pause with excitement. It's wonderful to hear. So without giving away any secrets, yeah, I'm just kind of curious. Yeah, there's got to be I totally understand that red ocean, blue ocean. I've heard you say it before. You're right. And I think if the utility is really there for the XRP community, this is going to be a huge incentive for the XRP community to adopt, because they are trying to drive utility. I mean, that has been the number one focus for XRP community, is to drive utility for the digital asset that's native to that ledger.
Yeah.
So in terms of strategy to bring more people into the economy, I understand big brands or, quality brands are important. So yes, you did the MasterCard, you're a principal member now with the Immersive deal. That's impressive. I love the fact what you just told me. You have FIFA, you have Spotify. Is there any other, without giving away secrets? I mean, is there any, because those are some big partners, and I can see that this is a very good strategy to go this way.
Yeah. I mean, when we looked at how do you bring users into use this engaging content and therefore kind of by default interact with the infrastructure, we kind of split the world into 5 parts. And so, we have the first part being mass market and mass market media. Second part is culture. The third part is sports. The fourth part is consumer goods. And the fifth part is music. And so we have, I would say, world-class brands like FIFA in every one of those categories, at least one, in some cases more. And in my mind, probably the world's most exciting metaverse IP is in that mass market media space. And so across the board, we've announced a few of these. We've got lots more to come, but I think we'll have a very strong portfolio of partners who can help us activate in those different channels. And so being able to, reach out to new markets and give them a great experience with content and brands they already know. And then by default, they start to get inside of this ecosystem, and they can explore the other things that go on inside of here.
Talk about activation. Somebody wanted me to ask you, on the Root Network Twitter page, there was that character that was about to push a button.
Groot.
Yeah. So somebody said, please find out. It's a cheeky question. They said, I know, but
But what are we pushing here? For what? What's happening? Marvel, Disney, what? That's what they were
No
doing a lot of
comments.
speculating.
No comments.
Okay. They were doing a lot of speculating.
We always get a lot of speculation, and I can say that, you know, a good amount of it does come true. Not all of it is correct. But at, you know, you've got to imagine that when you're talking with partners like this, there's some pretty strict processes that if we don't adhere to, we can ruin those relationships. So
yeah,
I try to give alpha where I can, but also sometimes you just got to wait.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
The person who asked has been very kind to me in the community, and so I thought I had to do that. All right, so if you this is your chance, because we've come down to almost the closing comments, but which is great. Wow, we zipped along. What would you like to clarify that has a lot of chatter out there with speculation? I mean, you know that there's a lot of people who you have huge fans and users who've been in your ecosystem for a while. So is there anything else that you want to talk about, just because you know that chatter is out there?
I think one of the biggest chatters is about when the root token launches. And I think what I can say now is that we did quite a bit of work on making sure that the way that we launched this was done as well as possible, given the new kind of regulatory landscape after last year's kind of shenanigans. And so that work has been completed now, and we're kind of gearing up for that launch. So you should expect an announcement date pretty shortly on that. You know, that's been something that's been a long time coming, and I know that community's been anxious for it, but they should know that we've done our very best to make sure that the way this goes out is done well and, you know, sets us up for a clean road ahead.
That's good. Well, it's wow, we're 1 minute over, so this is your chance for any closing comments. I'm amazed we got through that list in that period of time. Thank you so much, but please just give us any closing comments that you want to be sure we know about.
Two things. Like, if you want to learn more, please come and hit up our website, the futureverse.com, and join the Fluff World Discord. There's lots of people there that can educate you, or visit the prawns.xyz. It's a really good overview of our entire ecosystem. There's a massive opportunity being launched really shortly with our Goblins and Goblins collection, which will allow anyone to come in and mint a character within the ecosystem by burning an NFT that they don't love, that has been, you know, potentially a project that has gone bust or something like that. So it's a free way to get into the Futureverse ecosystem. We'd love to create an XRP horde out there within the Goblin community to come in and start to interact with us and start to learn about what we're building and interact with the applications that we're putting out there now. Keep your eye out for the general release of the FIFA AI League, which will be coming to app stores shortly. Great game, really fun to play on mobile in both iOS and Android. So yeah, those will be the things to kind of keep your eye out for, and come join us, participate in the ecosystem. We'd love to have your feedback and comments and ideas.
It's great. Yeah, I saw there's some trial going on with the beta testing on the FIFA game, and I saw a little bit of that video on another channel, and it looked very fun. But I'll put those links that you mentioned in the comment section of this video, so everyone has easy access to it. And Aaron, I just thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to the XRP community diving into the Futureverse, because it really does help drive liquidity and use case big time for the digital asset XRP.
Cool. Thank you. Appreciate the time. Look forward to more chats in the future.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.